A bunker of the Ukrainian armed forces appeared in the direction of Zaporizhzhia. Then Russian attack FPV drones were activated, and the bunker was destroyed as a result of successive strikes. Russian soldiers shot down Ukraine's FPV drone seconds before the collision. The tense moments were captured on a helmet camera.
Нормально, Шаромир?
Бля, нормально.
Надо уходить отсюда.
Нормально, нормально. Самура. Уходим.
Уходим.
Нормально. Так, слегка глушануло, ебать.
Fab shells were dropped from the UMPK on the ABI of the Armed Forces of Ukraine west of the village of Alexievka, Sumy region.
Don't forget to leave your opinion about the video in the comments, subscribe, and like.
A Russian unit ambushed a Ukrainian armored personnel carrier. Soldiers jumped out of the armored vehicle in a state of panic. Ukrainian forces are facing difficult moments under intense Russian artillery and drone attacks. Russian and Ukrainian forces are engaged in close combat. A joint operation by an Irkut regiment and a drone crew with the call sign Khan from an allied unit resulted in the destruction of the drone control center of the Ukrainian Armed Forces 68th OEBR. The target was identified during aerial reconnaissance and destroyed by a precision strike from a Molnia-type drone. Soldiers of the Russian Armed Forces were on an ATV when they heard the Ukrainian attack drone and immediately got out of the vehicle and took aim. He managed to shoot down the drone with a single shot from his small arms. In another direction, the same soldier spotted another attack drone and destroyed it. In operations to liberate the settlement, Russian forces destroyed bunkers, ammunition depots, food and supply vehicles. Russian paratroopers then attacked from several directions. Now the flags of Russia and the airborne troops are flying over the settlement. During the offensive, a number of Ukrainian armed forces soldiers decided to surrender. Footage of the Rosgvardia Mobile Air Defense Group used to repel the latest Ukrainian drone attack on Russian regions. Don't forget to join our Telegram group. Kupiansk direction. The footage shows the bunker of the Ukrainian armed forces detected. Russian drone Molnia 2 destroys the position.
Двигаемся! Все целы! Все целы!
The Ukrainian armed forces assault groups moving out of the positions are still under Russian artillery fire. They are having difficulty advancing. On the one hand, FPV drones, on the other hand, mortars, on the other hand, artillery guns are raining down on Ukrainian soldiers. In the left corner of the screen, there is one Russian tank. On the right side of the screen is the Ukrainian Armed Forces Assault Armored Column. Hot fighting continues on the Zaporizhzhia front. One Russian tank foiled a major Ukrainian offensive attempt. During the clash of armored vehicles, the Russian tank destroyed 7 Leopard tanks, 13 armored vehicles, including infantry and a support vehicle. The legendary T-90 tank destroyed the offensive column of the Ukrainian armed forces. Intense drone attacks continue in the direction of Toretsk. Today, drone attacks in this direction destroyed the shelters and mortar positions of the Ukrainian armed forces one after another. Ukrainian armed forces infantry attempted to hide among trees to evade the drones, but Russian operators executed agile maneuvers, striking their targets without colliding with the trees. Don't forget to share your thoughts on the contributions of FPV drones to military operations in modern warfare in the comments section. Ukrainian soldiers were hit twice while advancing on an armored personnel carrier. The soldiers quickly jumped out of the vehicle and returned fire at Russian forces. Do you think the armored vehicle was hit by an FPV drone, struck a mine, or hit by an RPG? Sumy border. During reconnaissance, a Russian attack drone spotted 2 Ukrainian soldiers hiding in the trees in a wooded area. With deft maneuvers, it managed to fly away without hitting the bushes.
Снимай до конца.
Yelka air defense drone kinetically intercepts a Ukrainian armed forces reconnaissance UAV under dense cloud cover.
Снимай. Снял?
Да, я тоже снял. Охуенно.
Заебись, красавчики!
Крылышко падает все.
Вон крылышко падает.
Russian army assault groups are setting out on combat missions. In today's reality, motorcycles have become one of the means of transport for infantry along the front line, including during attacks. Initially, this was a source of entertainment for Ukrainians, but after changing their approach, they began to adopt this practice.
Ебать, месиво сейчас начнется. Я там в рот ебал. Давайте, парни! Оу!
Russian Molnia drones are repeatedly striking Ukrainian armed forces positions, bunkers, warehouses, trenches, temporary deployment points, and places of concentrated manpower. A fierce attack on the Ukrainian Armed Forces facility in Novofedorivka in Donetsk. Russian artillery units are shelling the positions of the Ukrainian armed forces with intense fire. Just as the drone, capable of dropping Russian ammunition, was about to drop a bomb, the Ukrainian soldier raised his hands and begged for surrender. The operator did not attack. Dnepropetrovsk region. This is how a Russian FPV drone hit a vehicle with Ukrainian armed forces personnel. Russian forces are under fire from the Ukrainian armed forces. 2 soldiers in the trenches are trying to respond with light weapons. However, Ukrainian soldiers are throwing bombs one after another, trying to break the resistance of the 2 Russian soldiers. The 2 Russian soldiers are forced to retreat. A Russian fiber optic drone that broke through the Ukrainian armed forces' defenses destroyed pickup trucks one by one on a road surrounded by nets. Anti-drone nets stretched across the road were not enough to stop the Russian operators. Detailed images of the liberation of the village of Novolenivka. The trenches and shelters found in the village were destroyed and cleared one by one. The tracks of the infantry who fled into the village were followed. Russian mobile forces launched sudden raids on the village and raided houses identified by reconnaissance drones. The security of the village was ensured with the intelligence provided by the drone unit to the ground troops. Footage of the liberation of Repainted, located on the border between the Kharkiv region. Russian aviation, artillery, and attack aircraft destroyed the combat equipment and firing positions of the Ukrainian armed forces. Russian assault troops then raided the positions of the Ukrainian forces. Repainted was liberated by fighters from the 144th Motorized Rifle Division of the 20th Army of the West Military Group. Two infantrymen hiding in the rubble were hit by a fiber optic drone. Kupiansk direction. Russian FPV drones destroyed the BTR-4 Bucephalus armored vehicle. After the drone's precise strike, the armored vehicle caught fire and caused a double explosion when the turret was ejected. The armored vehicle was burned to a wreck. Russian aviation using guided missiles is destroying the Ukrainian armed forces' armored vehicles with precision strikes. It seems quite difficult for the Ukrainian armed forces to advance in this direction. Russian pilots are not letting anyone pass. Drone attacks continue on the front line. Konstantinovsky direction. Ukrainian armed forces vehicles were spotted in a wooded area, and a camouflaged pickup truck was hit first. Then another truck equipped with a REB system was hit right next to it. The REB system was unable to stop the Russian drones because it is ineffective against fiber optic drones. Russian drones continue to destroy Ukrainian equipment. Don't forget to join our Telegram group. The Russian army showed the destruction of one of its unmanned kamikaze boats in the Black Sea. The UAV was heading towards the Crimean Bridge. An unmanned aerial vehicle belonging to the Rubicon Combat Unit discovered a camouflaged Ukrainian Armed Forces T-72 tank in a forest near the village of Yampolivka while on a reconnaissance mission. The tank was destroyed in a series of attacks. Near the village of Sadki in the Sumy region, a pilot flew deep into Ukrainian Armed Forces positions, detected a camouflaged Baba Yaga, and destroyed it. Russian reconnaissance drones detected the movement of a large group of Ukrainian Armed Forces infantry. The infantry hid in a small basement next to a destroyed building. I think it was a big mistake for so many soldiers to hide in a basement, because if the basement had been hit by a drone, it could have collapsed and everyone could have lost their lives. That's exactly what happened. Following that, Russian drones identified the positions of many soldiers hiding in nearby ruined houses and launched an attack using strike drones.